The SAFE project's been running for almost 10 years now, so this was a great opportunity to bring together a large number of the people that have been working at this site together and think about what we've learned, and also really think about where we're going. What are the next steps that we can do to get greater understanding of this system? The talks have covered a really amazing range of different aspects of the ecosystem. So they've covered insect ecology, patterns of movement of insects and animals. We've had talks about fish in the streams. We've had talks about carbon cycle and nutrient cycling. We've had talks about gas flux emissions, so carbon dioxide emissions, nitrogen emissions, and a lot of talks about what it all means and what we can take away in a management context. So with our data, how can we inform decisions about how best to design plantations? So we had a lot of discussion workshops about how we can bring together our very large data sets and our very diverse data sets and think about how we can simulate the forest ecosystem as a whole. So instead of dividing it into a separate carbon cycle and a separate thing about mammals and a separate thing about trees, we can try and bring all of those parts together and simulate the entire system. So a project that runs for this length of time has a real risk of losing data. We've had hundreds of students come through and each of them collect their own small piece of data, and at the time they're doing it, they know what that data is, they know what all the codes mean which they've used inside that data, but 10 years later that information is lost. So we're putting a really heavy emphasis on collating all of that data, getting it drawn up, getting what we call metadata, so information about what that data means and how it should be interpreted, and pulling it all into one large data repository so that another 10 years from now we can repeat those studies and think about how the system is changing through time. So the goal is to create a virtual rainforest, so take the entire rainforest ecosystem and plug it into a computer. And the point of that is we can then think about how to manage these systems, so we don't have to then go to a real forest and change the way we log it or change the way we manage it and then see what happens. We can try and do that in a virtual environment, which is a risk-free setting. So if we make the wrong decision, it doesn't matter. And that simulation should tell us what the right decisions are, so that when we go out into the real world, we can be really confident that what we're doing is the correct thing. So since the last time we met, the major change is that the safe area has been salvage logged, and that's the precursor to clearing and planting an oil palm plantation. It's when timber companies come through and they don't have any restrictions on what they can harvest. They can cut any species of tree, any size of tree, anything which they can sell, they're able to take. And so it's really damaged the physical structure of the forest very heavily across the entire landscape, across about 8,000 hectares of forest. We're going to target gap filling with our data. So we already have one of the most complete descriptions of an ecosystem, but there are still data gaps in there. So in particular, something which has come out of this conference is soil science. We don't know enough about the status of the soils, for example. So over the coming years, we'll get out there and fill those gaps, get those missing pieces of data so that we then have the complete description of the system. Best place to find out more about what we're doing is our website, safeproject.net. If there's something you're interested in, you can search across more than 190 separate projects run by different researchers to find out what they're doing that interests you, or you can just browse to see what it is that might capture your interest. For more current events, check out our Facebook or Twitter accounts, which will give you updates about our latest outputs and news and events that are going on.